This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Ross W. Hackerson joining us again, Director of an Affair of the Heart Coaching and Therapy Practice. Joining us again today, we are going to have a great discussion talking about persistent personal patterns that interfere with our lives. We're going to continue to talk about that, how, of course, they help people and also how they get in their way. But before that, Ross, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm the Director of an Affair of the Heart. And more about the Affair of the Heart, we're a group of collaborative coaches, therapists who work with individuals, couples, sometimes families. We work with addictions. We work with all sorts of things. And I think, Jill, one thing I haven't talked about much is that we actually, our preferred venue is to do an intensive. That means we actually have people come and stay, and we work with them 6 hours a day, anywhere from 1 to 5 days, even 6 days, depends upon what we're working with, in a row. It's an interesting venue. I haven't talked about that much, but it allows us to do a tremendous amount of work in a very short period of time. So, yes. You're always asking this. Tell you something about me. Jill, I live in the country in Western Massachusetts. How's that? Mm-hmm. I live on a small farm. We used to be a bigger farm, but I've semi-retired. How's that?
Okay.
So now that's about as personal as I seem to be able to get right now. I'll talk more later. How's that?
That's perfect. All good. We're excited you're back with us today to really talk more about the persistent personal patterns. So let's, get to it, because you said you want to start a little, though, with the insecure attachment patterns. Let's talk about avoidant and anxious. Can we start there?
Jill, we can. I think I'm going to go a little sideways on you just to start with.
Sure.
Attachment itself is a pretty big subject.
Okay.
How about we do a whole podcast on it one of these times?
Sure.
And today, what I think I'd like to do is introduce the attachment concept.
Okay.
And use a specific example of a persistent personal pattern related to attachment that has gone wild and created problems. I love to talk about examples. That's where I really get to tell my stories, right? I don't want to talk about any particular attachment style.
Okay.
I'll just talk more about how attachment works.
Sure.
Got it? That works?
You got it.
So survival behaviors, attachment patterns as survival behaviors. I'm checking off my checklist in my brain, and a specific survival behavior gone wild.
Yeah.
So let's do it. So attachment means connection, Jill. You well know that. It's personal connection and belonging in relationship, family, and community. So how do we put it? Humans were born helpless. We're born helpless, right? And vulnerable. And we stay that way for years.
Okay.
So we literally need attachment. That is connection to survive.
Okay.
Attachment theory. Now, I get a little when I talk with my colleagues, sometimes they laugh and sometimes they harass me. But I think attachment theory is basically about the styles of connection that we've developed in our white European type cultures, right? It's about relationship styles that we've developed between children and caretaking parents. Different cultures literally have different attachment styles. We don't get to talk much about that, and I'm not going to talk about it today. How do I say this? So attachment behaviors by our parents and or other caretakers are literally their expression of the rules they expect us to live by.
Okay.
The rules they expect us to live by.
Yeah.
As context, I want to remind us, Jill, The first rule of life. You remember the first rule of life?
Breathe.
Survive. Breathe. You and this breathing thing. I love it.
I remember. Yep.
But and my question is, why breathe? Well, to live, right?
Yeah.
And basically, then the first rule of life is to survive, and what
Mhm.
follows from that is that all behaviors are survival behaviors. Um, what we do in life is what we've learned to do to survive.
Yeah.
So attachment behaviors are survival behaviors. Boy, I'll learn to talk one day. And remember, we're talking about survival, Jill, not just of the body organism, but of the
Mhm.
psychosocial self.
Mhm.
I know that sounds like dualism, and in a way it is, but we're talking about the self as a psychosocial being and the organism, right? So here we go. We all grew up, we had parents or stand ins for parents. An example, my father and his brothers, he had two older brothers, went into an orphanage. My father was 9 months old. His mother died in the swine flu that they call the Spanish flu, the flu that went around the world in 1918 and 19. So he was born in 1917. His mother died in 1918, and he went into an orphanage with his older brothers. And
Ah.
his older brother, his oldest brother, once told me, he said, Ross, your dad did not have a mother.
Mm.
He was raised by girls in an
Mhm.
orphanage. Well, you know what, Jill? Talk about attachment patterns. The orphanage had rules, right? They had rules, conditions. The rules were the terms of acceptance for living in the orphanage, right? Um, it was, you can live here if you
Mhm.
do what we say you do, and you are who we say you are, and you act the way we want you to. And if you don't do that, you're out. And if, to a child, I know they wouldn't do this in an orphanage, to a child, being out is like dying, right? So you break the rules of living, and you're not acceptable.
Yeah.
Your time is questionable. In a family, we call those rules terms of attachment. Now, I'm going to do a semi quote here from a really good little book called Unlocking the Emotional Brain, which is actually a statement about coherence therapy, which is a particular style of therapy. Um, terms of attachment. Terms of attachment is the phrase used in emotional coherence therapy framework to refer to a person's learnings of how a primary bond relationship works. It lays out, literally says, the forms of connection and interaction that are available with significant others. And importantly, it lays out the specific behaviors, thoughts, and feelings required and forbidden in order to participate in the family.
Yeah.
Um, right? This is clicking. It sounds like home, right?
Yeah.
Well, so terms of attachment are the person's living understanding of the conditions of love.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that statement. I love you unconditionally. Yeah, when was that? Right?
Yeah.
There's
Right.
right. When was that? There are specific conditions,
Yeah.
the rules for being acceptable to your parents and your caregivers. Um, for instance, I made a list of arguments here, or examples. Examples. Like one, don't argue with mom or dad. If you do, you're going to get screamed at or hit. That's a condition of attachment, right?
Mhm.
Don't have feelings or needs. If
Yeah.
you do, you will be shamed. Um, don't be different from mom and dad, or you won't be loved.
Mhm.
Don't cry or show feelings, or you'll be punished.
Yeah.
These are clicking. You're saying, yeah, you too have heard this, right? It's like, hey, this is the way it was
Mhm.
in people's families.
Okay.
So sometimes the rules are really clear.
Okay.
Other times they're stated like an attribution, right? It's like, you're stupid. You're a loser.
Mm-hmm.
You're an embarrassment. Those are almost like commands in terms of attachment.
Yeah,
To
of course.
exist in the family, right? You're
Yeah.
saying, yes, thanks, Joe. In
Mm-hmm.
that family, you have to become stupid or an embarrassment in order to, that's the way you're supposed to fit in. So, is this, Jill, when I say this, often people look at me. So I'm wondering, you have a really nice smile, and what's going through your head when I talk about stuff like this? Can
I'm
I
just
ask
yeah,
that?
I'm just relating to everything you say. I think a lot of our audience and listeners can relate to all of this. It's just insane. So, we sit here and I get like these amazing. I get to talk to people like yourself and think about things, and it's like, wow, you don't ever during a normal day really sit down and get to think about the things that are going on in your life and how they're affecting us. But yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to what you're saying.
Well, excellent. Yes. Thank you, Jill, because I just want to bring these examples in, and that's exactly the way people show up in our office. They're dealing with these rules from the times they were children. Um, oh, I'm looking at my notes here. I think the most difficult attributions and terms of attachments
Yeah.
are the ones that limit your existence and your identity. The
Mm-hmm.
rules are terms that say, in some way, don't exist or don't be you. Now, Jill, I'm always bringing these examples up. Um, and I want to be clear. I work with a pretty heavy duty, and I have through the years, population that has a lot of problems. So the examples you get, by the way, the examples I use, they are drawn from different people and put together like it was one person. And they're all real. And to warn our listeners, sometimes they really include violence and sexual molestation stuff. So let me go. So back to those difficult attributions. Sometimes the directives from family can be real clear statements like, I wish you had never been born.
Ah,
You've heard that one?
of course.
Yes. These rules, Jill, are powerfully reinforced by parental rejection or acceptance.
Ah.
Um, I see this with parents usually that have their own personality difficulties, like the narcissistic parent who says with their actions, you exist when I say you exist, or you are who I say you are, and you feel and experience what I say you feel and experience.
Ah.
Usually that parent grew up in a similar household, was told the same thing, has no sense of self. Yeah, yeah. How am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. I wanted to. So let me see where am I in right. So the patterns the person learns, patterns we learn to live in these families, in our families. Um, Sometimes we have to hide the fact that we are people. How did I get there, Jill?
Yeah.
I want to talk about a man I worked with years ago, and when I say that, it's like I say sometimes our families say you are this way and this way,
Yeah.
and in order to really exist, we have to not be that way.
Okay. Yeah.
But if we actually show up as not the way our parents tell us to be,
Yeah.
what happens? Kapow, up against the wall, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course. Yep.
So in comes this man. Um, he was sent to me for anger management problems and for being generally disruptive. By the way, he couldn't hold a job, and he created a lot of problems for his family. By the way, Jill, his family had money, or I think he would have been lost and in jail.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to call him Junior for
Okay.
for this example, and you'll
Yeah.
see why. Junior is a lot like Dad.
Okay.
Um, Junior's dad was a really big guy. He was 6'6". He weighed 280. He was very abusive. He was a
Mm.
yeller and a screamer.
Yeah.
And didn't have any problem
Ah.
beating kids or family members up. Um, Junior said his father was either an angel or the devil,
Oh my gosh.
with very
Yeah.
little in between.
Mhm.
His father had come by. His father had come by his abusive behavior
Mhm.
pretty legitimately in an abusive family setting. He had run away from home, from that abusive home, and entirely on his own, starting with nothing. He created a construction and real estate business and actually became quite wealthy. That's where the
Wow.
money came from.
Interesting.
Totally on his own.
Yeah.
Junior was born early in that beginning, right? Dad was just starting. Junior's mother, boy, I sound like a broken record. Junior's mother was very self-absorbed. She had probably been diagnosed as a narcissistic personality.
Okay.
She too came from a
Mhm.
dysfunctional family with an
Don't we all?
explosive
Yes. Ah.
father and emotionally distant mother.
Yep.
Over and over, I say
Yep.
this, right? Uh, so the terms of attachment in Junior's family were clearly: you exist when I say you exist. You're who you are who I say you are. If I ever bother to say who you are, um, and you do what I say when I say do it.
Yeah.
Those were his terms of conditions. He
Yeah.
satisfied them, or he was out, right? And when you're
Mhm.
out as a child, you're gone. Okay, Junior didn't remember much of his childhood. That's normal in these cases.
Yeah. Of course.
He did remember. Oh yeah, you're saying yes. Go ahead.
Mm. No, I'm just shaking my head. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks, Joe. So Junior didn't remember much of his childhood. What he did remember was a lot of yelling and screaming and fighting. He did remember a series of incidents when he was young, and his father was always yelling at him, and so was his mother. Later, as we put all this together, later we figured out he was probably between 18 months and 2 years old. Most people don't have much memories from then, and he didn't have specific memories, but he had a lot of scenarios in his mind. Um, what helped us put it together was his memory of his mother saying, "You are such a nice baby,"
Wow.
and then around 2 years old, you
Mhm.
became very difficult.
Oh.
Okay, what they didn't say was you became difficult, and we tried to beat it out of you without
Mhm.
success. Although that was Junior's experience. Okay, what we think happened was that at 18 months old, Junior was entering that period of
Yeah.
psychological development. We call it
Mhm.
the terrible twos,
Oh yeah.
right? And in that 2 year old transition between 2 and 3, the developmental task for the child is to differentiate, individuate, and separate from his parents. The child goes into that developmental stage
Mhm.
thinking, I'm the center of the universe.
Yep.
If there's a successful resolution of that developmental stage, the child goes, I'm the center of my universe. Oh, and you're the center of your universe. I guess we all have our own universes.
Mhm.
So at about 18 months old, 2 year, he went into this phase. Before this developmental stage, he was just that little baby that when mommy said jump, he asked how high on the way up.
Aw, of course.
Dad yelled, just that's what babies do, right?
Yeah,
But
you want to
at
please
this
your
point,
mama.
he started to become, he become, he, whoops, he became a little more self-absorbed. How am I
Oh.
going to say that? He's now interested in what he's doing. A scenario he put together
Okay.
was that one day he was playing and his mother passed through the room and said, get your shoes on. We're going to the store.
Oh.
Now, he normally would have done that. But
Yeah.
now he's starting to be absorbed in his own play. He's
Oh.
playing with his toys, whatever he's doing. He's preoccupied, and he didn't do what mom said. When she returned, she got angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't put your shoes on, you blah, blah, blah. Really got upset with him,
Oh
focused on
yeah.
him,
Oh
yelled at
yeah.
him, right? You know this one, right? Um, the same thing seemed to happen, he said, both with his mom and his father at about the same time. And as we
Mm-hmm.
worked with the scenario, other guesswork possibilities came out, of course. And what happened is we started to get clear that he had taught himself to be oppositional.
Wow.
Yes.
Got
What
it.
stands out? What stands out for me, Joan, is the junior was in that developmental stage, that
Mm-hmm.
differentiation stage. Um, and his father's my way or the highway, and his mother's you are who I say you are. He had dealt with that very well until this point. Um, I want to bring this back to us. Their terms of attachment, their conditions of love and existence,
Mm-hmm.
where don't exist as a separate you, don't have your own experience, your own
Yeah.
identity and existence.
Yep.
That's a pretty classic setup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now he was in a bind. He was learning. He was learning to be himself, and that was against the family rules.
Oh.
Pretty straightforward. So now he's self-absorbed enough to not automatically respond to his parents.
Okay.
Good. Can you imagine what? So let me slow down. He was learning to differentiate, individuate, and separate. Can you imagine what a difficult process that would be
Mm.
in a family like his,
Yeah.
where that's just totally against the rules?
It's so true.
He was living in a family in which he was unseen, unheard, experienced no safety and power, and that was the rules of existence.
Wow.
When he didn't automatically do what his parents in the moment asked or demanded, he experienced two things. Two things,
Go
right?
ahead. Yeah.
One, they yelled and screamed at him. He
Mm-hmm.
experienced what do I call it? An existential terror of
Okay.
annihilation, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you straighten up, don't be blah, 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 or
Yeah.
you're out of here. Oh. And two, this is the good part. In the face of that negativity, he experienced being seen and heard. Get that, right? Oh, in the midst of being yelled at, I experience I must be a real human being. I'm being yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
I must exist. I
Yeah.
must have an identity. No, Jill, no, I don't think he literally thought that, you know, at 2 years old. But he had a feeling about it.
Yep.
And the feeling that gets connected there is I exist. I have an
Mm-hmm.
identity.
Of course.
His psychosocial self got it.
Uh-huh.
It was anchored in his body.
Yeah.
I want to say it was anchored in his terror stricken body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, cut to the chase, Ross. This was an accidental oppositional moment that became anchored
Wow.
in his body mind, to be more specific. It happened frequently in that developmental time period. Each time it happened, his sense of existence and identity as a separate self became more connected to his oppositional behavior.
Okay.
Now, there's where we go back to our persistent personal patterns.
Yeah.
In the persistent personal pattern, a negative self-limiting behavior has become connected to a feeling we need to have. Junior needed to feel, I'm
Mm-hmm.
alive, I exist, and I have an identity.
Yeah.
The persistent pattern of behavior, self-limiting behavior that got attached to was being oppositional.
Yeah.
And again, He didn't plan this. It happened, and it
Mm-hmm.
got reinforced. When we think about this in psychological terms, it's a combination of classical conditioning and operant conditioning.
Yep.
All right, back to Junior. By the time he was 3 years old, he had two modes: angel or devil terror. Sounds a lot like dad, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
By the time he finished kindergarten, he had a reputation as an oppositional problem child. By
Ooh.
the time he was 9, this is where I really get into it. By the time he was 9, um, he had become such a problem in school that the school, did all the paperwork and had his family investigated. He was taken away from his parents.
Ah.
He was put in a special school. He was
Ah.
very he was yeah he was out there, Jill. He was on the way out. And his parents were put on the state watch list. Right. He was diagnosed as an oppositional defiant child. He came out of the special school and he was placed in a foster home where he stayed until he was graduated from high school and he was 18 years old, at which time he went back to live with his parents. By then, his dad had become quite successful and they had a lot of money, so it worked, right? Um, Jill, how much time we got left? I don't want to.
You got 2 more minutes. Go for it. We got it.
Only got two more. Um, Excellent. When he and I worked together, what we really got clear was that his persistent behavior of being oppositional really was his path, his connection to feeling like an existent
Yeah.
individual with his own personality. Now, I've said that
Yeah.
about 13 times, and I really want to reinforce it
No.
because it is what counts here, right? Um, I would say, I guess, you want to affirm and confirm your identity, Junior? Be oppositional. So it was locked in his body mind. What Junior and I did over time was we extinguished that connection between being oppositional and feeling existent. Once we did that, he was free to live life as a regular person. Now I'm going to go just sideways in the last 30 seconds. Jill, on some level, we all have that oppositional defiant, automatic oppositional no. I think we learned it at 2 years old, and
Yep.
it helps us maintain identity. So there you have it, Jill. Huh. We're out of time? Or we another?
Yes, we are. But thank you so much. So to end up for today, Ross W. Hackerson, how do we contact you and how did you want to leave off with everyone?
Um, I want to say, if you have questions, call me. I
Yes.
do. I will. I answer the phone and I talk to people. You can call me specifically 413-210-3739. That's Ross
Okay.
Hackerson, 413-210-3739. Or go on the website, anaffairoftheheart.us. Anaffairoftheheart.us. My phone number should be there too. And you can just read more about how all this works and send me an email and contact.
Beautiful. Will do. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
And
Jill.
thank you to all of our listeners and viewers. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more after this. And hopefully we'll see you next week, Ross. Thank you.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.